Hello friends, today I am going to show you a game between Mikhail Tal and Robert James Fischer. This game is from candidate tournaments of 1959 from round 20. All the necessary details has been given in the description section, so for more details jump over there. You will get this board in analysis board section of Leeches. The software is Stockfish and this arrow implies the best move possible. So here Tal is white and Robert James Fischer is black. Tal played d4, knight f6, c4, g6, knight to c3, bishop to g7, e4, d6, and this is a standard King's Indian defense with normal variation. Tal played bishop to e2, Fischer castled. And knight f3 Tal also was prepared for castling. So here Fischer played e5. Tal was not interested to open the position, so d5, and after that Fischer played knight b2 d7. Before the last move, that was d5, you can see that this bishop has only two good squares, this d7 and g4, and the knight has this a6 and d7. Knight is generally not preferred in the opening session to be placed on a file or h files, so that's why this knight was placed to from b to d7, and after this placement you actually have blocked the path of this bishop. I will urge you to pay more focus over this bishop, this light square bishop and this rook, because they are going to play a very critical role throughout the game. Obviously Tal did notice it, so Tal placed his bishop on this g5 square to pin the knight so that the knight can't move. And Fischer kicked this bishop with this h6. The best suggested move for this dark square bishop to place it on e3, but Tal was interested to keep the pressure over here, so Tal played bishop to h4, and after that Fischer played a6. What if Fischer didn't play the a6? Instead Fischer went for the Stockfish suggestion over here to play g5. Well, there are three possibilities you can choose. The first possibility is to accept this pawn with this knight, and after this exchange you temporarily can create the tension over here, and if you're a player like Tal's style, your aggression is similar to Tal, then maybe you can push this pawn and create some disaster in future. It requires more study. Another choice is to accept the pawn with this bishop, and you will lose your dark square bishop, as well as in future you will lose this knight too, so it's not a wise trade. And another way you can, for this move, you can save your bishop over here. Well, in that case you will get a threat from this knight, and after this exchange you will get a threat from this pawn. You will replace your knight over here. Obviously you are looking for to save this knight, and then you'll get the threat from the pawn over this square, and there is no way you can save this bishop. Along with you have already lost a pawn over here. If we return to our main position, then we'll see the a6 was played by Fischer, and after that Tal castled and Fischer unpinned his queen, and then knight to d2. So Tal's intention was to open this file. The similar intention comes from Fischer also. Fischer played knight to h7. Now there is a reason for this move. You can see this d8 h4 diagonal is entirely controlled by this dark square bishop, so the intention for black was to get rid of this bishop by playing this bishop over here, or there is the interest of Fischer to open this file by playing this pawn push. But Tal was not interested. Tal played b4, and Fischer obviously was interested to get rid of this dark square bishop, so Tal accepts the exchange and Fischer takes it with this knight from h to f6. Now there may be a question can arise that why this knight was not, you are not going to apply this knight for this exchange. Well, after this exchange these bishops still have only one square to jump off, but Fischer find the best move possible here, and Fischer accept this exchange with this knight. Well, after that Tal jumped on knight to b3, and Tal was interested to hold these two squares, mainly this square, this c5 square, and Fischer comes with his queen on queen to e7 to provide passive support on the c5 square. Tal with queen to d2 provide passive support to this pawn and active pressure on this h6 pawn. So Fischer eliminated any kind of activity of queen over this square, so Fischer played king to h7, and after this move Tal placed his queen on e3, so there is a direct pressure on this c5 square. And after this placement, Fischer positioned his knight to g8. Well, there is a reason. There are you can see this 4 pawn. Somehow if you manage them to vanish, then if the knight is not there, you cannot save your queen. So the idea is to save your queen if somehow you can manage to vanish this pawn as well as to open this file. Well, after this, Tal went for the direct confrontation with c5. Fischer did it too, but with f5. E takes f and g takes f. So obviously you cannot allow this pawn to come up. Tal stopped it with f4. Fischer obviously accepted this with e pawn, and after that Tal accepted with queen. After the exchange of this pawn by the queen, you can see the pressure has been eliminated. There is no support from the queen, so Fischer accepts the pawn. But here Tal comes up with some different idea. Tal played this bishop to d3, and what is the function of this bishop? This bishop keeps an eye over this diagonal. Your king is here, your opponent is Tal, and Tal's bishop is aiming towards you, and there is only one pawn, so you can't rely on this situation. But Fischer ignored this, and Fischer accepted this pawn. Obviously this is the suggested best move over here. After this move, Tal again didn't play the best move. This knight is also hanging over here. Tal thread the queen with rook from a to e1. The best suggested move was here, but Fischer was looking for this knight, so Fischer played his queen to f6. Well, the knight is hanging, so the best move is here to take the b4 so that you can hold this knight. And if you play something else like this, then you also get this discovery check. You cannot save your queen, so this is a kind of a force move. But here Tal again sacrificed this knight. Tal played his e rook from 1 to 6th rank, creating more pressure over this pawn. And obviously Stockfish suggestion is to hold this pawn over here, but Fischer was interested to take this knight. And after that, obviously Tal came up with the best move. Tal provide a check. Now after this check, good, there is only one best move, and obviously it was played by Fischer. This was to accept the bishop with this rook. What happened if you will not choose this one? Rather instead you want to save your king. The first option is you can jump on h8. Well, after h8 you will get a check. Either you jump over here with your king, or you can accept with knight. If you accept it with a knight, then you will get a check, and it's checkmate. If you jump with your king over here, then you will further get a check, and after this move it's checkmate. And another move is here, you can come up with your king on this g7. Well, it requires more study. You can feel free to jump over this board. I have attached the study link in the description section. Fischer obviously played the best move over here, that is f5, and Tal accepted it with a check. Well, after this check you can go here, this h8 or g7. If you come to g7, you'll get a check, and technically you'll have to again go to h8. So you did just nothing and waste a move, and you have given this queen a tempo. After this rook placement, you can't do anything technically, because there is nothing which can stop the checkmate. You may try this, but it's a checkmate. You can try something else, try it by yourself. And so the best move is over here is to, after this check, obviously to jump on h8. And after that, Tal placed his rook over this f3 square. And again the suggested move is to sacrifice your queen and develop this knight so that you can at least gain a rook. But Fischer idea is something different, so Fischer went on this B2. The idea is if somehow this rook leaves the third rank, then maybe Fischer will take this and then again create some massacre over here. Maybe there's in future. Well, Tal ignored it and Tal paralyzed this knight first. Now this knight is paralyzed, it can't move, they are born paralyzed. These two pieces I told you early to pay more focus over these two, and these are the two active pieces right now. So the best move over here is obviously knight to f6. This knight obviously can't move, so this d knight will come over here, and after this move Fischer also create a discovery attack on this queen. I'll accept this knight. After this exchange Tal come on this f6 square with his rook. Now there are two ways you obviously will have to develop your king, otherwise this you cannot save this knight. And there is two ways you can develop this h7 passive development and this g7 active development. So Fischer come up with king to g7. Tal threaten this knight. Obviously you have to shift your knight over here so that you also can protect this bishop. This knight not only protecting this bishop but also keeping eye on this pawn. Tal neglecting this, Tal played knight to a5. If you'll come there, then obviously you will lose your both bishop and rook. But obviously Fischer didn't play this. Instead Fischer, actually there is another variation, this obviously interesting variation. If Fischer will take this, then there is best move is to place your knight on c4. There is some reason. After this move you will be forced to play your knight over here. If you are interested at this position to be more aggressive, like if you're interested to play your knight over this c3 square to accept this pawn on a2, then the knight will jump over the c5. Again you will be forced to play this move, and if you play this move then obviously you will lose your rook. But suppose you are not interested to play this, you are interested to push this b pawn, or you are interested to take this pawn for future promotion of this b pawn, then you will get a check and mate. So obviously Fischer noticed it. That's why after this move Fischer didn't accept this pawn, rather instead Fischer played h5 and Tal blocked it with h4, so you can't get more escape square for your king. Again now the best suggested move is to accept this pawn with your knight. So Fischer didn't do that. Instead Fischer give more protection over this b7 pawn, and Tal placed his knight on c5. Well, Fischer kicked the knight with this b5 and Tal welcomed this move, and Tal placed his knight over the c5 square. After this move Fischer actually resigned. Well, again after this move you will be forced to play this bishop over here. If you don't do, there is no other way you can save the game. Suppose you play something like this or something different move, then you'll get a check and checkmate. And if you play over here this bishop, then you'll have to sacrifice your rook. Maybe you can accept this pawn then, but against two rook and a knight there's a rare chance for you to win, and this rook are holding this 8th rank, so it is kind of impossible task to achieve. So after this placement of this knight, Fischer resigns and the game over. Tal won it with 1-0. Well, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click this like button and subscribe button. You can also click this unlike button. If you click on this dislike button, then don't forget to comment the reason for why you have disliked it, so I can develop more and more.